I'm still crippled, but just 40 hours later, we already got our first hurricane of the 2018 hurricane season. But this time, it's in the Pacific. But before we get into the video, I'd like to say that Aletta has now rapidly strengthened into a major hurricane status. Unbelievable. Like I said in the last video, it was looking like we were going to have two hurricanes at the same time in the Pacific, and it's still definitely on track with that. Now we have Aletta as a hurricane. Just a couple hours ago, then Tropical Storm Aletta popped a little eye, proving that it was poised to be a Category 1 hurricane, and now it is. Hurricane Aletta is a Category 1 hurricane sitting at 75 miles per hour, moving west-northwest at 6 miles per hour. Aletta is in almost the perfect environment. It has some shears to its southwest, but almost perfect. The water temperatures are nice and warm, and its outflow is absolutely beautiful. The forecast from the National Hurricane Center only has Aletta peaking out as a high-end Cat 1, but I think it definitely has a chance to go Cat 2, maybe even Cat 3. It's battling the slightest of dry air, but the outflow is just amazing. It's a live, breathing hurricane, and it's just thriving. This hurricane is thriving so much is that when it had an eye, it covered it back up so it could re-strengthen the eye to make it bigger the next time, and that's gonna look good on satellite imagery. The next time I make a video, Aletta's gonna look like a pretty fierce hurricane out in the East Pacific. Thank God this is not hitting any land. The only thing that's hitting Mexico precipitation-wise is a little outflow from Aletta. That's it. The only risk that Mexico has is the high risk of rip currents. And those high risk for rip currents along the Mexico coastline are going to stay for probably the next 5 to 8 days, since Bud is right around the corner, and now that system has a 90% chance to form within the next 5 days. Aletta is for sure not going to hit land. That's going to be a storm for the fish. But Bud might just become a fierce hurricane and then make landfall being a fierce hurricane, which is going to be definitely interesting how things develop over the next coming week. In the last video, I talked about the possibility of Bud making landfall in Mexico. The possibility then was actually pretty low. The GFS had the storm fizzling out before making landfall, and the Euro actually had to make a landfall as a tropical storm. But 2 days later, the risks are much higher. If we take a look at the European model has Hurricane Bud making landfall in Mexico as a fierce hurricane in Cabo San Lucas on the Baja California Peninsula as a definitely fierce hurricane, which is, it's going to be interesting to watch. On the other hand, we have the GFS taking Bud next to Cabo San Lucas, but on the left side. And once you cross that little border, the water temperatures dip dramatically. And since the GFS puts Bud low to the left of Cabo San Lucas, it kind of fizzles out before it makes it there, and it's just going to make landfall as a tropical storm. But just taking a look at the European model again, Hurricane Bud makes landfall in Cabo San Lucas as a fierce hurricane, and then proceeding to make landfall in the mainland of Mexico, which was going to be interesting to watch for sure. If future Bud gets its act together quicker than we imagined, we might have two hurricanes at the same time in the Eastern Pacific. If not, we're going to have two tropical storms at the same time. Because while Bud is strengthening, Aletta is going to be weakening. But for the meantime, I'm definitely going to be refreshing Aletta's satellite imagery because it is looking super fresh. I absolutely love when hurricanes are out of sea and just harnessing the power of the ocean and just spinning away, and with the outflow looking like a buzzsaw. That's beautiful. But enough about me obsessing about satellite imagery. We gotta talk about the Atlantic now, because yeah, it's almost June 20th, right? As of right now, there's nothing expected to form within the next 5 days, but there's definitely going to be something to watch in the Atlantic, and we might have something before June 20th after all. In about 5 days from now, a couple models are picking up on a possible tropical low forming in the Western Caribbean Sea. The models are taking that tropical low northward into the eastern Gulf of Mexico and then proceed to make landfall somewhere on the Gulf Coast, kind of like Alberta. If you take a look at the GFS model, it's kind of like the same exact track as Alberta, just a little farther to the east. The GFS forms a tropical low in the Western Caribbean, takes it north, and then makes it landfall in the Florida Panhandle as a strong tropical storm. This is definitely far out. It's about 5 to 6 days out for the low to even form. But this definitely could be the only possibility of a tropical system or a tropical entity forming in the Atlantic before June 20th. Because I don't see anything else that could possibly form into Burl. Yes, that's going to be the second named storm, Burl. But as for right now, the Atlantic is absolutely quiet, but the Pacific is definitely heating it on up. But thank you to all my subscribers for watching, and I'll see you in the next one for another tropical update.